welcome to Let's Talk here on Daily Mirror. I'm Easwaran Rutnam. There have been a few demonstrations held in Australia and the UK focusing on immigration. Now, there are a huge number of migrants from countries like India, China, and Sri Lanka who are living and working in Australia and the UK and a number of other countries, of course. But on Let's Talk today, I thought I'll focus a bit on what's happening in Australia with the immigration issue, and why this concern is there among certain groups of Australians about the immigrants in Australia, whether it's actually a valid concern or not. So I'm going to speak to a group of immigrants who are based in Australia. And let's get their views about what they've been doing in Australia and whether they see some of these concerns as being valid. So let me first introduce you to Preeti. Preeti is from India and she's based in Victoria. We also would like to welcome Gina. Gina is also in Victoria and she was also from India. And we've also got Jason. Jason was originally from Malaysia and he's based in South Australia. Welcome to the program, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'd like to start off with you, Preeti. You're in Victoria. How long ago did you move to Australia, and more importantly, why did you move here?
So basically for me, I moved here in 2016. I moved to Australia on a spouse visa. Honestly, at first it was like a little skeptical about moving so far away from home. But since my husband was already here, I had to make the move and make this decision of coming to a different country. But back in India, we've always heard like good reviews, good talks about Australia, about its diversity and fairness. So when I came here, I felt it was the right decision.
Okay. So Jason, when did you, I just want to get a bit of background as to when you moved here and how long you've been here. Jason, and why the move was taken for you on your end.
Okay, so I've been here, I think, coming up to 26, 27 years now. So I moved here back in, I think, 1999, and I came here to do year 12. And part of the reason I came here was because my brother was already studying here. So I came here, did year 12, and then I went to uni, did 4 years of uni, and then we applied for permanent residency while I was working, got the permanent residency, and then and settled down here. Met my wife here and everything, have kids here, and we didn't look back actually. Like we liked the lifestyle and everything here and got used to it.
And Jean, if I were to ask you the same question as well, when did you move to Australia, and you're here with your family as well?
Yes.
How has the move been?
So I moved to New Zealand first in 2014, same as Preeti, on spouse visa. We liked it. Have my 2 little girls over there. And recently in 2022, we decided to move here after we got our citizenship in New Zealand. I like it here. I miss few parts. I'm comparing both the countries, New Zealand and Australia, on a daily basis. There are pros and cons in both countries. But yeah, from India, if I compare, yes, the lifestyle is way better. We like living here, and I'm finding it. Every day keep loving this country more and more.
So has the recent, I'm opening the floor to the three of you, has the recent anti-immigration protests sort of put a bit of concerns in your minds? I mean, you're loving it here, Gina, you're saying you loved it here. Jason, you said you don't have any regrets. But has these these concerns, these protests rather, or demonstrations, although be it by a small group of people and not the whole of Australia, Has that sort of put in this concern in your head? Oh, maybe I made a wrong move. Maybe this is going to have a negative impact on me and my family. Has that thought gone in your minds at any point?
Yeah, I think like it would be unfair to look at only one side. I definitely try to put my shoes, my legs in other people's shoes and try to see where they're coming from. I can understand where these concerns are coming from. This wasn't about targeting Indians in the first place. This was, and this has been, this message has been forwarded by a lot of leaders like the prime ministers and other senators from Australian communities. They have come out and spoken that this is definitely never targeting to a particular community or Indian. It was basically about mass immigration that they were concerned about, and from my point of view, in a layman's language, if I want to say, if the country is allowing mass communication on a large number of scales, sometimes that has to be backed up by infrastructures, but a lot of other things need to be placed in a certain format before these kind of mass immigration has been allowed.
The same as Priti was saying earlier. I have seen, for that recent event that happened, I've seen few bits and pieces of videos of that. I believe I have seen some interviews that people were saying that's not what they came there for. So they weren't anti-immigration. It wasn't regarding any people to go back home. Like it's not about all that. I think mainly people went there with a good intention because they want their government to give some answers to them. Because when there are many, I don't think so they have any issues who are paying taxes, right? We're contributing to the government. The person who are coming on study visa, the person who are coming on work visa, I don't think so there's any issue with that. But there are some certain visas which allow people to come here, and which I understand, like as a country, they're doing good for themselves and good for others. But I always say one thing, that before adopting other kids, take care of your own first. I would say that government needs to put their foot in, and just maybe
I think one of the main concern that some of these demonstrators have been having is there's lack of housing, lack of employment.
Yeah.
So with so many people coming into the country, that there is not sufficient housing and employment for them. But Jason, I mean, one issue that these people have been raising is that whatever jobs are there in the market, those jobs are being stolen by the immigrants. That housing-wise as well, that houses are being given more to, to people who come from outside as opposed to people who've already been here. But I mean, I know you've been doing your own business here in Australia as well. Is there special favoritism towards migrants? Do migrants get anything different as opposed to what Australians are offered? Are migrants not paying taxes? Are migrants preferred when it comes to housing or employment?
So yeah, absolutely. There's no favoritism at all between Australians versus migrants there. So I think personally, like I've seen corporations and stuff, they probably actually prefer the first preference would be to hire Australians than migrants. They've only gone to migrants because they can't find any Australians that actually want to do the job, like jobs like, picking, farm picking and stuff like that, just hard labor jobs. No one wants to do it, especially when the generation now, they're just complaining about everything. So it's a very entitled generation. And what's employers got to do? Like, they're going to have to go to migrants and give the job to them because no one else wants to take specific jobs and things like that. So there's absolutely no favoritism when, like, if say an Australian puts in the application and a migrant puts in the application. If there is any favoritism, I'm thinking the favoritism would be going firstly to the Australian and then secondly to the migrant. It's just the Australians don't want to do the job. So who else can you hire but the migrants? So, and in terms of housing, like, nothing is given. Like no housing is given to migrants. They have to work hard for it. Like they pay the same taxes. They go through the same process. If you, for example, migrants that haven't had their permanent residency, they can't even get a loan. So they can't even like buy a house in the first place. So the fact that people think, oh, everything's given to the migrants is absolutely not correct. Like not true at all. It's a fair, like competition wise, like you go to a property auction, anyone has the equal right to obtain and bid for that property. It's just whoever bids higher or whoever wants it more. Right. So migrants don't even get like a benefit whatsoever in that sense. Yeah.
I guess the issue is really starting from the illegal migration, with so many illegals coming into not just Australia but Canada and the UK. It's probably that this has really resulted in this issue coming into the spotlight, and then even legal migrants then being framed similar to illegal migration. I mean, if that issue is addressed, Preeti, do you think that this whole situation may not have arisen?
Of course, to an extent, I do think so. Even in the protest, large, some small mobs took over to the entire protest, and there was a huge scene created in these places. So I do agree that yes, if illegal migration is reduced to an extent, this kind of protest will maybe not happen or will a lot less.
Gina, did you see this whole focus on migration, like putting second thoughts in your head? I mean, you've got a family here. Do you think that this is making you reconsider your move to Australia, or it's just a minute matter?
No, absolutely not. Few people, I totally agree on previously that illegal migration is the main reason of this. And yeah, I just want people to be more aware on, don't consider everybody on the same boat, like people who are paying taxes, migrants who are contributing towards the country are better for you, rather than just don't put us on all on the same boat. We are doing best. Like I feel safe here. But yes, few people have said these things, but I have seen many videos of Australian who are saying that they are ashamed of the act that happened recently. Many young people. So not everyone thinks the same way, and I'm actually very happy after seeing that not everyone thinks that all immigration, all no migrants should be allowed here. It's more of a like illegal migration is the issue. So address it properly rather than just putting all the blame on migrants.
But is there also a concern, Jason, that I mean, the current administration, the Albanese government, is very strong on the migration issue, and they are open to migrants coming in and helping boost the economy. But if there's a change in administration, with some of these demonstrators also having the support of the opposition, do you think that would, be a concerning factor, or something to think about even?
I think every time they change governments, there's going to be like a bit of a change. But generally, I was looking at the statistics. I think they said a year, the overseas migrants that come in, it's about 3,000-ish at the moment per year, and used to be about 2,000. And then it went all the way up to nearly 5,000 at one stage. But it's actually not increasing. But I think they should tighten I actually agree with tightening the migration laws to an extent where we get more like migrants that we need in specific areas, and then maybe we need to kind of limit how much we look after refugees. Like, don't get me wrong, we need to take in refugees, but the amount of refugees you can take in should be maybe addressed and looked at, because you can only help a certain amount. You can't have the
certain
whole world.
amount.
Yeah. So if you're trying to help more people than what you can, and if the amount of migration comes in more, and then the population growth can't adapt to it, then that's going to be a problem in the long run. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I know. I know the Australian government has strengthened its borders, especially with Sri Lankans, because there are a lot of illegal immigrants who try to come in from Sri Lanka, and they've decided turning back these Sri Lankans who come through using boats, or most of them are deported if they don't have valid reason to be here. But economy-wise, do you think the Australian economy is capable of handling so many migrants, so many people coming in? And now we see everybody talking about not an economic crisis, but the economy is not stable enough. There are certain issues that people are facing as well. Cost of living is one matter that has been discussed by a lot of Australians. With more migrants coming in as well, is this something that would add to the crisis, or would this help improve if the migrants help boost the economy in some way? Maybe
I would
Jason,
say,
if you'd like. Yeah, Preeti.
I would
Yeah,
say
Sheena.
the legal migrants who are having the problem, we are bringing money to the country with in form of study visa. We are contributing towards the economy, and then doing the jobs, paying the taxes, we're paying the mortgages, we are doing everything, right? So I think we are contributing towards this. So this is not the burden. But yes, maybe the other illegal immigrants or the refugees might burden. So that's why government has to think a little before allowing some.
But interesting, Jenna, that you mentioned about student visas. I remember one of the issues that was also highlighted was that people who come here on student visas also end up working, although it's part-time. And that was also an issue that some people were raising, that people coming here on student visa should not be given a chance to be employed. Is that a valid concern?
So there's a quota on the students, but people manipulate it. The quota, I believe, is 24 hours, because a friend of mine is studying here, and it's currently 24 hours per week. And big corporations like Woolies and stuff, they will make sure they monitor that they don't overemploy them over the allowed 24 hours, because that's like reason for deportation back straight. And I believe it's a 3-year ban if you breach that as well. But a lot of people I've heard, for example, like restaurants and stuff, Chinese, Indian restaurants, they're hiring these people on a cash basis, and it's not logged. So they're working like 50 hours, which is illegal. But no one can track that. So it's a hard one to crack down on that one, and it does create a problem, because a lot of the students, especially, the cash economy is still there, and then they still abuse it.
Yeah, I've seen on social media, especially TikTok, where some of these companies operated by foreigners, I say foreigners, but migrants, inviting people from their own respective countries who have moved here to join their company, and offering various incentives. And like you said, Jason, I guess these are cash payouts, and they're not monitored, and then that sort of probably doesn't help this whole issue on migration. But as migrants, do you feel like we spoke about this protest and demonstration when we also mentioned that this has been done by just a handful of people. It's not the whole of Australia. But you all move around Australians. I mean, you all have children studying in Australian schools. Do you all see, second-class treatment? Do you see Aussies treating your children differently? or you're more welcome, you're treated like any other Australian, and you have Australian friends who don't see you as someone who should not be here?
I haven't personally like felt that until today. Like I haven't felt that. I mean, every time I go out, I see people are always they're just saying good morning, and I just always feel I never felt um, made me feel different because of my gender or because of where I am. But these protests have definitely in the back of the mind, though I want to believe that it's not actually us, but somewhere at the back, I mean, there is a bit of fear, and I would agree that every Indians or every other communities do have a little fear. But I am pretty hopeful that this might will not happen ever again. And as you mentioned, that illegal, and I'm sure these protests was definitely for mass migration. As I told you earlier, the infrastructures and everything is not that big to accommodate that big amount of people here. So there is a loophole in the government, and I think government will step in to find out these lists of items that are raising these protests everywhere in Australia and other countries as well. So what is the reasoning has to be found out, and they has to be acted accordingly.
Yeah, I agree with Pretty. There should be strict laws against whoever abusing the system. If there be like more exposure to these things, like okay, if somebody found guilty of this thing, there's this punishment, and there's more strict laws about it. Might some people doing less of these things, and yeah, but yes, I also I'd never seen any racism back in New Zealand, and I heard when I was in New Zealand, I heard that there is racism here in Australia, but I haven't seen any yet. People are wonderful, and yes, but yes, these protests, as Pretty said, do put some concern back in our head because we got kids here. We don't want them to see because they're kids. They have no idea. My kid's born in New Zealand, and I'm raising them here. They have no idea. They've been to India like twice for like few weeks only. So they're more raised here than back home, and I don't want them to be like see this racism or even know the concept of racism right now because they're too little, and the hate crime. I want to protect my kids. So I just want people to be aware of there's a difference between a good migrant who's contributing towards the country and there is illegal migrants, and government have to take action on it rather than we doing this protest and then directly putting all the blame on immigrants. That I have concerns with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
After all, this is sorry, Jason.
No, go ahead, Pretty.
I was saying, like, you mentioned this, which is good. Like, this is our second home. I can't forget my roots where I'm coming from, India. Definitely, that's always going to be my first home. But this is my second home, and I'm definitely not denying with all of those Australians who want this place to be a better place to live in. And what they are doing is they are trying to cut down all these things and make the better place for us and for our kids. So, at certain extent, I do welcome all these protests, but with a good intention, with making the government aware of what's going wrong, and they having to step into and working on it.
Yeah, to answer your question, like specifically in terms of myself and my kids, so far, even before and after the protest, we haven't noticed the difference in terms of racism. And I do have a lot of Australian friends as well that I hang out and play tennis with, and they have like I think the protest is just a minority, like you said, and then you have the extremist right wing ones, which I believe actually has woken up the other part of Australia that is non-racist, and they're coming up and stepping up for the migrants, like the ones that should be here legally and that are contributing. So specifically, like there's always going to be racism wherever in any country where there's migrants, and I've experienced that like when I was first here. But there's no change. Like if anything, it's actually better now than it was before when Pauline Hanson was in, like in power back 20 years, 10, 15 years ago. So people are actually more accepting of migrants. So yeah, personally, my kids or myself have not experienced it even after the protests at all.
Yeah, even in those protests, we saw like it was just a small group that was trying to raise the head of racism, whereas mostly it was about making Australia first, focusing on the critical issues that Australians are facing. And at the same time, there were another group of people who are coming out and saying, look, we want migrants, we love migrants, we have absolutely no issue. This is not to put one single frame across every Australian. It's just a group of people who are just trying to create certain issues. But then overall, from what I'm getting from the three of you, Jason, Preeti, and Gina, is that you don't see any issue here. You're happy here. You're happy with what is taking place, with what you're getting, and you're giving back to Australia as well through work, through other means. That this should not be an issue that should be drawing a negative spotlight.
Yeah,
Correct,
absolutely.
Summarize it in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
As I
Great.
mentioned,
Well, it was
Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, did say that the rallies were immigration concern hijacked by the neo-Nazis spouting hate and racism. There was also Suzanne Lee, who said that acknowledged that people of goodwill at rally twisted it into hate. There was Peter Dutton, who said that this debate was about migration numbers and housing pressures and was definitely not against any community. Peter Douglas, PECA chairman, also said that, warned that it is wrong to blame a single community for housing and cost of living. So all these High Commission people come across and made it very clear what this was exactly for. So that makes me a bit happy that these leaders are coming up and clarifying the entire issue.
But when incidents like this happen, Preeti, do your family back home, whether it's you, Preeti, or Gina, or Jason, do they raise concerns? I mean, we're seeing these sort of reports. Are they concerned?
Yeah,
They are.
from my brother, and he's like, I'm hearing all this news. What has happened? Are you thinking to come back home? And I'm like, yeah, this will happen. As Jason mentioned, racism is something you cannot eliminate completely. It's gonna happen everywhere. We as Indians or any other communities, we need to make sure that if we have come into the place, we need to abide by certain rules and regulations that the other countries has. It's the kind of respect that we give to the country we live in. So everybody has to put their step forward, both the parties together, to make this place a better place to live in.
Yeah, I agree with
How is
Preeti. If people who are coming here should follow the rules, they know all the how they should be here. I don't think so. There should be many more problems. And then it will be better like to live the country you are in right now. Just follow the rules and act accordingly.
Great. Well, since we're running out of time, we'll have to stop it at that. It was a real pleasure, an absolute pleasure, having the three of you on my program. Jason, Preeti, Gina, thank you for taking time and expressing your views and being part of this discussion.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
having us.
And that's all the time we have for you for Let's Talk for this week. Till next time, stay safe.